Hey, here's a Master Fans. We're back with another Packard Bell Legend, an earlier model. This is a 316SX. This used to be in better shape, but when I moved to the new lab, this accidentally got dropped and sadly cracked the front facade. But I believe the system's still intact. I don't know if we ever tried booting this, though, and I'm really curious to open it back up and see, can we get another Packard Bell Legend running? And is this also running Windows 3.1? Or is it running a DOS system? Let's boot it up, see what we can do with it. Okay, we're inside the 316SX, and one thing I noticed right away is this has a lot of extra room for Sims, but the mounts you'd have to solder on. So expanding this is certainly possible. However, we're going to end up being pretty limited here because I doubt, one, you can even find these Sims, and even if you could, finding the connector pads for them is probably next to impossible. However, really aren't going to need a ton of memory for this system. This is absolutely immaculate in here. Now we've got a 25 megahertz 2036 controller, and then your SX chip is right down here, the 25 megahertz. That's your 386 right there. And this is an AMD build 386, which is interesting because these Sims are actually Intel Sims. Now we do have an ISO riser, no video card to speak of or any kind of expansion, but there was a card here at one point. Interestingly enough, we do have PS2 connectors. Got our onboard VGA. Again, that's an Oak Technology video controller. This one does have the Rockwell modem. And it looks like we've got parallel ports available. I'm assuming we've got printer, and this might be for joystick. The only thing I've noticed here that does concern me a little bit is, of course, we have the old school AT connectors, which you always want to make sure you get the orange wire in the right spot. I believe that's the 5 rail and the black is the ground, but I'm going to double check that. Just be sure, because I've made that mistake long ago. It's been a while, but I am not confident I remember every single time. We will have to plug the Molex back into our 5.25 inch floppy, but this drive, I mean, it's just immaculate. It's very clean in this system. No A387, a little sad. I still have not found one in the wild. We've got a Seagate hard drive. I think this is the same drive that was in the 610 Legend. Similar build with the stiffener that goes across the top. It does have room for basically a board butt there. That's where I kind of sort of put in a fan. I'm just really impressed at how clean this is. And of course, our Varta battery here is intact, looking very nice. I know some of you have commented online that I should probably desolder and put in a new battery. I am definitely going to do that, but I do want to try and keep it to a Varta, if at all possible. So I'm looking for options. If you have options for these Varta batteries that are more modern, rechargeable type deals, I'd really be interested in getting a couple of those for some of these older board systems. Just really impressed by how immaculate this thing is. I mean, I was thinking at least the power supply would be gross, but it's almost spotless itself. I mean, not even a dust bunny in here to speak of. So let's get this powered up, plug it all in, and see if we can get this to boot to something. All right, so a little history lesson / remember. You always want to go black to black, ground to ground, right? Your orange is your 5-volt power good. And this board actually, can't really see it now. I'm going to see if I can get a nice angle on it here. Well, right next to the orange on the board itself is actually printed PS1. If you look at the power connectors, PS1, PS2, ground to ground. So that's one way to remember it. Not all boards are printed that way. And believe you me, back in the day, I definitely made that mistake once or twice in my computer construction class and had to swap out a few motherboards. So Now that we've got that resolved, we'll go ahead and get our Molex back in our floppy, just like so. And these, I mean, the plastic on this is really nice. It's very tight, so I can't imagine this has been taken apart too many times. So I'm really quite disappointed that I've dropped this system because it was probably pristine otherwise. But the good news is, to be honest, it's one little crack. So let's connect it up and get it on the tester and see what we've got. Okay, moment of truth. We're going to go ahead and hit the power dongle here on the front, if we can find it. And yeah, every Legend is a little different. All right. Packard Bell 8386. And take the flash off here so we get a nice picture. 640 base memory. Not a lot of extended. Invalid configuration. Got a beep beep. Let's do the setup utility. Alright, so the battery's dead. We know that. So we'll run the setup utility. And whoo-wee. Okay, so system time, just gonna guess. Let's see, let's go with, I believe right now we are somewhere in the 21 hour here. So we're gonna go ahead and go there. And today is July 20th. And I might be wrong about the exact date, but that's okay. 1990 is our default. And hey, folks who are afraid of Y2K, guess what? This one already rolls over 2000, so don't be fooled. We do have a floppy installed here. 3.5, 144. Extended memory of, geez, not a whole lot, but that's okay. CGA 80, board, keyboard installed, numlock at boot, yes. Disabled. Okay, color CRT, sounds good. Let's go ahead and save values and reboot. Like the old setup utility on the BIOS chip, really wish that was a standard these days. Of course, you have a lot more with these motherboards that are more modern. Get that lovely motion of the drive there, so we know that works. Okay, invalid config. No, that's okay. No boot device available. So let's run the configuration again here. We do have a hard disk. Type 1. Let's go ahead and just spin the case around and see if we can get the specs off of our hard disk here. So we've got some question around cylinders and the head size here. Oh boy. Gonna have to do some digging to find out, because the Seagate here does not list the information. So we'll figure that out and follow up. Okay, so after a little digging on the Seagate website, which I can't believe they have the tech manuals for this just online, this is a Type 34, 1024-12, 17 sector size. So that should be correct. So we'll go ahead and save those values, reboot, and we can watch the motion of this floppy drive again. Yep, we got some hard disk activity. Okay, so I know we've got a dead battery, so that's fine. There we go. Hard disk is working. We've got a boot. Oh, goodness. And this looks like, if I'm not mistaken, Windows 3.1. All right, let's pick up our mouse, which got knocked over, and see if we can get some information. So how is this for a throwback screensaver? I thought this was pretty cool. So I've had this system running a while. I got pulled away to do something here, and not only did the screensaver come up, but I thought I'd test the temperatures, and wow, the memory is running hot. Drives are fairly cool. Hard disk is pretty warm. Let's see about... Definitely I would say that the memory would benefit from having some kind of a fan blowing on it in here. That's awfully hot. Okay, so now that we've got our mouse back from the floor, one thing I notice is that the video connection here is not ideal. It's awfully grainy. Just kind of makes me wonder a little bit about this system. But let's take a look and see here. Kind of an interesting setup. Let's go into the control panel. And 386 enhanced. It's kind of interesting. Every Windows 3.1 setup is a little different, a little unique, and I always enjoy just poking around in it just to see all the unique little settings and things that back in the day you could really have fun with. Windows setup. So let's see. After Dark, which I believe is a game. What do we have in our games folder? Simon. Oh, Lander, Reversey. Some very classic Windows games in here. Maxis software. SimAnt installed. Very cool. Some classic games. Microsoft Solutions, so somebody used this for Microsoft Money, Windows Applications, Microsoft Works, XClock, Automat. Very cool. Reach Out. What is Reach Out? Terminal emulator. Interesting. So we've got some pretty cool information on here. Let's do the About Program Manager. So this is actually Windows 3.0. So this is older than Windows 3.1 on the 386 Enhanced mode. Really awesome stuff here. Very exciting. It even has the background and everything. Just a unique configuration that, frankly, I don't know that I've ever... had the joy of going through any of this stuff, but lots of cool stuff in the After Dark control. So I would say that right now we've got a success on this build. Biggest concern, of course, is the dead Varta battery. That's going to need to get replaced. It hasn't started leaking, but we'll definitely have to address that as soon as possible. As far as the graininess goes, it's not terribly noticeable all the time. I have a feeling it could just be a driver issue, it may just be that, this is an aging computer. You can't expect the most out of that. But thrilled to see we have another Packard Bell Legend revived.